No sugarcoat play. Headlines hot and the coffee's black. If the story's wild, we're firing back. Trailers, rumors, industry flame. If it's blowing up, we're naming names. From box office bombs to streaming decay. If it dropped overnight, we're roasting it today. No script, no filter, no corporate spin. Just hit record, let the chaos begin. Wake up the Empire's morning time. Marv and Lorn on the headline grind. If the culture's burning, we're fanning the fire. Breaking it down on M4 Wake up the Empire, grab that brew. Real talk mornings coming through. No fluff, no lies, no fake out scam. You're live with the crew on we pull back curtains behind the screens. If it's cringe, we say it. If it's hype, we weigh it. If it's fake, we torch it live. Because the Empire wakes at sunrise. Wake up the Empire, lights are on. Another wild news cycle dawns. From breaking leaks to satire, we run the board on M4 the Empire. Wake up the Empire, hear that jam, your morning crew. Marv and Lorn stand. No better way to start the program than wake it up with M4 the
Oh, what do you hear? What do you say? M4 Empire. Welcome to the M4 Cast AM. I am Marvin, the Movie Monster Montanaro, and I am your host for this morning. And thrilled to welcome, as always, my co-host, Mr. Lorn Connor, who is maybe here. I don't know. He was dealing with a thing, but we will see. Lorn will pop in at some point, I'm sure. If he's trying to talk, he's probably muted. But let me. Oh, you know what? Let me add these things back. So, guys, we have got a lot to talk about this morning. There is a whole. Well, apparently, Lorn must be reloading his computer. So we've got a lot to discuss this morning. We are talking a lot about Star Wars today, which is, when it's me and Lorn, that is kind of a thing that happens a lot as we talk about Star Wars stuff. Right, Lorn?
Yeah, I don't know what you said happens when we talk Star Wars, but I agree with you 100%.
I said when you and I get together, Star Wars talk pretty much always happens.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's not uncommon at all.
But Lauren, one thing that people might not know yet is that you and I will be together at MegaCon this month.
Yeah, I got my tickets booked earlier this week. I'm not sure which day I'm going to be there, but I should be able to join you there at the convention and hoping to have a good time.
That's going to be awesome, and we are actually looking into so a couple Pro and I are looking into possibly having Lauren and I have a little bit of time at a booth, so that if you guys are there, you'd be able to actually come over and say hi, and maybe get something signed if that suits your fancy. So yeah, should be a lot of fun. And I will be at MegaCon, Lauren, attempting to add to my wall of weaponry behind me.
You got a particular weapon in mind that you're scouting out, or?
I am specifically looking for the Blades of Chaos from God of War.
Gotcha. Have they been produced by anybody that you know of?
Well, so I mean, not officially, I don't think, but I mean that doesn't mean they're not going to be a MegaCon.
Right.
MegaCon always has these massive walls of weaponry, right? So my Mass Effect gun, my Master Sword, those were all purchased at MegaCon from less than licensed.
Right. I've never gotten to play the original God of War games because I'm not a PlayStation guy. I'm pretty much a PC guy, and I know that they're doing the remastered 1 through 3. I'm hoping they put those out on PC because I love the concept of the game. I've watched people play it. I did play whatever the PSP spin-off was, like
There were a bunch of
15
those.
years ago.
Yeah.
But and I always thought this feels like it would be up my alley. I just never got the chance. So
yeah, I'm thinking the Blades of Chaos would probably go on this wall, maybe above the Muppet sign that I have over there underneath the Piccolo plushie. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I can find at MegaCon this year and what is within budget.
sweet.
Yeah, no, it's always a great place to find that kind of stuff. The floor is massive. I mean, this is it's like San Diego Comic-Con levels of big. And depending on the day that you go, I would not recommend ever being there on Saturday because Saturday is a slog and a half. But I'm hoping, Lauren, that while you're in town, we'll be able to actually see some of the sites together, grab some food, and because it's not just gonna be me and you; it's gonna be a whole bunch of us there.
Yep, that's what I've heard. I'm looking forward to it. There were some people that I was hoping were going to be able to make it. It sounds like they're not, so that's a little
Yeah, same.
disappointing. But either way, I'm looking forward to getting down there again. I have only been to Florida once before,
Really?
and had a great time when I was down there. So looking forward to seeing it again.
My hope is that we'll have time to maybe take in Epic Universe.
Yeah, I've heard that that's supposed to be in the plans. I've not been there before, so
Mhm.
uh, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, well, I'll talk to the boss man and figure out when we are able to do that. But guys, this show is created for you and financed by you. We count on your generous super chats to keep the lights on around here. We do take breaks in between our topics and kind of try to hit them as we go along, but we do break for super chats of $50 or more. But I see we have one super chat that's coming already from SFX Sabretooth Raptor for $10. Says, I got it, Lauren. A way to bring Venators in with the rebellion. The Starforge. Another one created by the Jedi 25,000 years ago. Not only building Venators, but also cloning clone troopers. Thoughts?
Um, I think the issue would be that the Jedi would see the Starforge as a threat. That's why they destroyed it in the first place. So I don't think that they would probably construct a new one.
Well, Starforge also fed off the dark side.
Yeah, and that's always a concept that I've had a little bit of trouble with. It's one of the few things that I don't really like about Knights of the Old Republic, but if you get past that, then yeah, I don't think that it's something that the Jedi would make use of. On the other hand, using that logic, I don't think the Jedi would approve of creating clone troopers either, but we see how that turned out.
Yeah, probably never again. But yeah, I mean, the Starforge, I don't know. I always kind of thought the Starforge as a concept was kind of goofy. That it just creates matter out of nothing, and it just I don't know.
Well,
I was never a huge fan of the concept.
I mean, there's things I like about it. There's things that I don't. I don't usually like the idea of fusing technology with something that's mystical, like a magical thing, like the
Mhm.
Force. That always feels to me like it's kind of goofy. On the other hand, if you accept the Old Republic as canon as well, they kind of did some interesting things with the surviving pieces of the Star Forge,
Yeah.
which they attempted to essentially reconstitute themselves in a way. And that gets more into the exotic xenotechnology that we don't really know what its origin is. And this is one of the reasons that I like the Old Republic period, is because um, things get really weird in the
Yeah.
Old Republic. And part of it is because it's an ancient time. And so it lends itself more to mythic style storytelling. And in your mind, you can take that as that, okay, maybe what we're hearing are not literal truths of what happened, but an epic retelling of the actual events that have occurred thousands of years as an oral tradition, you know? And so one of the things that I love about the Old Republic that I wouldn't tolerate in the quote unquote modern era of Star Wars is that force powers get really big. The Sith do wild, crazy
Yeah.
stuff. They are way more powerful than their modern equivalents, but that's also kind of fun. And I think if you accept the idea, as I do, that Star Wars, that the galaxy is actually a galaxy in decline and has been for thousands of years, then all of that kind of makes sense. The,
It
the
does.
Jedi of this era are a pale shadow of what the Jedi and Sith of the previous eras were.
Right. There are ways of using the force that just kind of get lost to time. And I like the way they kind of explain that in the Old Republic, where like or not so much in the in the Bane novels, they kind of explain that as, a team of 10 weaker apprentices would team up to take down one all-powerful master, and that dilutes the Sith and knowledge is lost, and that's why there's so much less now than they should be.
Yeah, and it also fits with how the Sith operate. And I like all of that. And this is actually an area that I also disagree with. This even happened in the Clone Wars. Is I think Lucasfilm has mishandled holocrons because
Mm,
they use them now as sort of generic recording devices.
yeah.
They are a repository of knowledge and they can be used to record a message. But their original incarnation was more as an artificial AI construct of the Jedi Master who constructed it, and it was a teaching device. And I really like that concept. It's one of the few. There are a few things that came out of Dark Empire that I think actually did create a lot of really interesting storytelling hooks for Star Wars. Holocrons is one of those.
Hmm.
So we do owe a debt of gratitude to Dark Empire for some things.
Yeah, and at the same time, the holocrons, they're not supposed to be easy to make. Like it seemed like in like Kanan in Rebels had a holocron. You
Yeah,
know,
but that's because they're using since the Clone Wars, they've just been generic recording devices, and I've
well,
never.
and I think the reason for that, Lauren, is because they sell holocrons at Galaxy's Edge, so they're trying to work holocrons into the shows and the movies and whatnot as much as humanly possible, so that people know what they are, so they want to go buy the merchandise. It all comes down to corporate greed, because in like when Obi-Wan sends out the message about going into hiding, he sends it onto the Jedi comm links. He doesn't send it across like a holocron network. But it seems like in Disney Star Wars, everyone has their own holocron that now has Obi-Wan's message on it.
Yeah, and besides that, it's like this goes again to they've sort of sanitized what existed before. When the holocron was introduced, I saw it almost as like the Jedi equivalent of a crystal ball.
Mhm.
And what was neat about it was that you could interact with the AI gatekeeper of the holocron to ask it questions, and it would respond in the voice and style of the master who created it. It was supposed to be a recorded personality imprint, and that's no longer there. And I
Right.
think that
And with the
go ahead.
Sith holocrons, that became dangerous because you would constantly have like, ancient Sith masters whose gatekeeper would attempt to either withhold knowledge from you or, just,
Well, they're a temptation device,
yeah.
and one other thing that I think is weird, I'm guessing maybe this is like a physical thing. Disney, and even I guess even before Disney, again, when they have created holocron props, for some reason they're making them massive. They're huge, and that's
Yeah.
another thing that is like it's weird. It's like I've got a Sith holocron in my collection. and it's hand sized, it's just a little pyramid that you hold in your hand. And yet the
Mm,
one that you see in Solo is like, it's the size of a desk.
yeah. The so I have I have the Path of the Jedi and the Book of Sith. But I curse the fact that I didn't get like the special edition Book of Sith that came in a Sith holocron. Did you ever see that?
I did. I thought it was it was cheap.
I
I
don't
don't
know,
know.
man. You hit the
Did
little
you ever?
button and the book slides out of the holocron while the Imperial March plays. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Well, I thought the ejection mechanism was kind of neat, the way it exposed the book, but the holocron itself, it's like it's fragile. It seems
Hmm.
to me like it would break easily, and
Oh,
you're
see, I never
paying a
actually
lot.
held one, so
Yeah, I mean, the one that I have is, well, I'll tell you what, I've got my camera off because I had a spontaneous nosebleed right before we started, but it seems to have stopped. Give me a minute. I'll go grab my holocron and show it on camera so you can
yeah,
see it.
please.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. So, actually, what I don't have at all, I don't have any lightsabers. Maybe I'll stop by the Theory Sabers booth at MegaCon and see what they're charging for sabers because I would love to have a lightsaber. I don't have a single one, not one. I've got a million swords and various assorted weaponry that you see on the wall behind me, plus some over there as well that you can't see. But yeah, no lightsabers. Mike Glass is asking, do I have the Jedi versus Sith Essential Guide? No, I've got Path of the Jedi and Book of Sith. That's kind of all I have. But yeah, I really do like those two books. I like Book of Sith especially. Like I thought that was a really cool book, and I like the way that they have like the notes in the margins by everybody. I think that's a pretty neat thing. Like like Palpatine responding to like the notes that like the Jedi took and things like that. Yeah, and then like Luke responding to the things that Palpatine wrote, and Bruce Newhouse just said, "Show your lightsaber on the show, and it becomes tax deductible." Yeah, man. Like, if you don't think I'm saving receipts for the things that I buy at MegaCon, you got another thing coming. OG Dutchy, remember for 5 months, says 5 months already. Awesome, love the content. Hey, Just a Dutchy, we love having you here, my friend. You're such a great supporter, and we really appreciate it. If you were ever in the States, my friend, we've got to meet at some point because you are truly incredible. Thank you so much. Mike Glass says you'll need that book. Ask Lorn, he'll agree. All right, I'll have to ask Lorn. He must not know where this holocron is if he's having to dig for it in such a way. There he is.
No, the issue is that mine is actually sort of broken. And it's supposed to glow. I've had to have it repaired before, and I was trying to get a fresh battery on it. And as I was doing so, the wire actually broke again. So I can't make it glow, but there it is.
Yeah, see, that's the size I've always assumed that a holocron should be.
Yeah, and it's like the broken part is the bottom is gone, but
yeah.
In any case, and I've had it for
so
probably
what was it, Darth Bane Rule of Two, he is trying to figure out how to make a holocron, and it's very, very difficult.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be an easy thing. And I always liked the fact that, as you said, Sith holocrons and Jedi holocrons are very different beasts. A Sith holocron will test you, and that's in both the construction and the use. And so
in Darth Bane, the last Darth Bane, I forget the actual title of that book. Doesn't matter. But
Path of Destruction?
No, Path of Destruction is the first one.
Yeah, you're looking for which one?
The third one.
Oh,
yeah, I don't remember the title of it. Either way, that's the one where he finds Darth Adendu's holocron and attempts to learn essence transference, and he's withholding the information. So Bane has to actually use the Force to go into the holocron and extract the information, which is like severely dangerous, apparently.
Yep, and it's Dynasty of Evil is the
Dynasty of Evil. That was it.
Yep,
that was it. But yeah, I mean, I love the lore of Holocron. But yeah, like I said, it just like most everything, Star Wars, Disney has watered it down and perverted it and just made it terrible. By the way, Wildman of Yavin has become a member of the M4 Empire channel. Welcome, Wildman of Yavin. You now have access to things like the Monday night members only stream, as well as exclusive shows like Crime and Punishment, the true crime podcast that Trish and I do, which we are doing a new episode of very soon. She actually has everything done. We are doing Joel Rifkin next, so that should be fun. We just did our Ted Bundy episode, so that was our big return. And then Wild Man of Yavin became a member, but then Wild Man of Yavin is a member for 5 months. Don't know why I wasn't a member. Shrug. Apparently, you have been for 5 months.
Well, I think it actually keeps your membership even if it is lapsed, so that it records how much time it is. So it's possible that he was a member before and it lapsed for some reason.
All right, that makes sense.
Not sure why though.
You know what? Since I am in the mood to see the chat turn from gray to green, I'm going to gift a few memberships myself right now. Let me do that real quick before we move on, because I love getting new members. So here we go. Booyah. Let's see who gets it. Oh, Matzo Balls, Knight, 909 Raiders, Ray J Sword, SAL Dorsey, Dwayne Lewis, all just received memberships. So thank you guys very much for being members. And if you guys want to add to the family, you can gift memberships here as well. We're at oh, and I see Mike Glass gifted one M4 Empire membership. Thank you very much, Mike Glass. So that brings us to 8 new members in this stream. And the Wild Man of Yavin just gifted 5 M4 Empire memberships. Thank you very much, Wild Man of Yavin. That's awesome. So that brings us up to 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 new members. My lucky number. It's actually his lucky number for Italians. So thank you very much. All right, Lorn, do you want to talk about the thing that you brought to the table here today before we dive into our main topic?
Before we do that, I want to address a question that's in the chat real quick. It was, how do you think modern Disney would handle the story of Mitra Surik? And I think their preference in the Old Republic period would be to tell that story because canonically she's female, and they would like the idea of a strong female protagonist.
That's the Jedi Exile, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah. And if they handled the story straight,
when does Disney ever do anything straight?
Well, I know, and the other problem is they've already sort of changed Malachor, and so that's kind of a problem. Personally, if I were going to do it, I think the interesting story to tell.
When did they go to Mal? Oh, they went to Malachor in Rebels. You're right.
Yes, they did, and they changed. I guess you could maybe say they're 2 different Malachors because in Rebels it's Malachor, not Malachor 5.
Malachor 5,
so,
yeah.
So they could be 2 different planets, but honestly, I think that gets a little silly at some point. It's like you're splitting hairs to try and have your cake and eat it too. Yeah, I think the interesting story to tell there is not Knights of the Old Republic 2, because it would be a retread, but Mitra Surik's service during the Jedi Civil War that leads up to the activation of the mass shadow generator on Malachor 5 and the end of the Mandalorian Wars. I think that could be really, really interesting, but I wouldn't trust them to handle it. So yeah, if you want to get into that other thing that I was talking about, we can, but I think you probably should lead into it because it ties into the main story we're talking about.
Yeah, I guess today. You're right. You're right. It does. By the way, Flying Blind and a Rocket Cycle sent a 199 super sticker. Power to the 199 super sticker. It is looks like a dog, a Shiba Inu giving a thumbs up. Fantastic. And Night Owl just became a YouTube member. So welcome, Night Owl. Just a Dutchie, by the way, said sometime next year, a friend of me and I are planning to go to Universal Florida. Well, if you do that, just a Dutchie, I hope you'll let me buy you guys a drink because you've been such a great supporter of the channel. And yeah, Extreme Meme says Yavin 4 means there has to be a Yavin 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, it's not that I disagree that there couldn't be multiple Malachors. That's obviously been done in Star Wars continuity. It's just that you've got 2 major Sith locuses in the same system that had similar events happen at the same time.
Yeah,
it's reductive,
yeah, so I agree. Well, maybe it was a very big, area of the dark side.
Well, you could say that it was a major theater in the war, which is true, but I see the temple in Rebels as Disney's intended version of the Traya's Academy. And there is that presence that you hear in that episode that's a female voice that they never identify. To me, that
could have been Darth Traya.
Yeah, that's their version of Traya, in my opinion.
Yeah, Filoni wants to dig into all of these like things from the EU and just kind of probably hasn't gotten the opportunity to do it yet. And maybe that's for the best because Darth Treya would probably be some kind of witch who wears pentagrams and marries Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, all right. So let's get into our main topic here today because, oh man, Leslye Headland just cannot stop talking. She cannot stop talking about and it makes sense why she can't stop talking about the Acolyte. She's done nothing else. Nor do I think she will be doing anything else anytime soon. She had that play in New York for a while after the Acolyte, but that was already put in place before the Acolyte came out. I'm pretty sure her name is mud after she wasted so much of Disney's money on that show. Which, Lorn, when you think about the price tag of the Acolyte, the $300 million that they spent on this one season of television, you got to wonder, is that a failure on Kathleen's part? Or is that a failure on Leslie's part for not being able to create this show under budget?
Okay, so this gets into some awkward discussion, I think, because I'm going to have to try and be objective and play devil's advocate here. If I'm going to talk about the Acolyte's budget, I also have to talk about Andor's budget because Andor's was bigger. Now, granted, it was 2 seasons, but I think that using practical sets was actually a benefit to both Andor and the Acolyte. If you're just looking at the design of the show, I think practical is always going to be better than the volume or digital. That said, when you're making a show, you never know if it's going to hit or not. You create a budget, you hope for the best. If it hits, it hits, and you're a genius. If it doesn't, then you're a failure. And I would lump Andor into that as well. I love Andor. I'm not shy in my love for that series, but critically it was acclaimed. It lost money.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I was just about to say, there's no earthly way that Andor generated that much revenue for them.
No, and so the thing is that would I want Andor taken away? No, I wouldn't. So it's a little hard for me to criticize the Acolyte from the budgetary standpoint, understanding what they were trying to do. What I can criticize it for is what they did and how they structured their story. That's the angle that I feel like I can attack it from. I actually feel like looking at the Acolyte, it's a pretty show. It's got some good design. It's got some design that's not great, but it's got some design that's pretty good. The opening scene of the Acolyte when you have Osha, or I guess it's May. Coming into the inn where what's her name's
Trinity.
Her character is at. That inn is a beautifully designed set, and it's shot well cinematically. I got nothing to complain about. It's the story that all of my complaints center on. And that's going to go towards what we're going to be talking about today as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, I didn't even have a lot of I know a lot of people like hated on the lightsaber choreography, and I didn't love it. It certainly was no prequel era choreography the way they were trying to say that it was, but I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was better than like sequel lightsaber fights.
Yes, and this is one of the areas that I've been irritated with Lucasfilm with. I understand why they're doing it. They're not using the thin, light carbon fiber rods that they were using for the prequel era fights. They're using more like the NeoPixel sabers that you can buy as a fan today because they want to have it actually generating the light. And the problem with that is they're heavier. They're also more fragile, and that means that you can't swing as hard nor as fast. I would be a lot happier if they'd go back to the original carbon fiber stuff and digitally rotoscope the effect in. And
Agreed.
they are enhancing the effects. They're not using the glow from the saber in the actual show, but it's still a shortcut, and I think that it's hampering some of the fight choreography.
Oh, big time. I mean, like the fighting in Ahsoka was absolutely terrible. I thought the Acolyte had better lightsaber fights than Ahsoka. Like when I watched that fight, that was just that episode that was just one big lightsaber fight. I was like, man, this should be something that I love because it's one dark side user fighting like 10 Jedi and winning. And I love that kind of thing. But then it has cortosis and like, like it canonized cortosis. And I'm sitting here thinking like, why do I hate this so much? Oh, right. Because it's a dog crap story.
Yeah. I do give them props for using cortosis, not necessarily
thing. There's no way that was a Leslye Headland thing.
I agree. But I remember that when those episodes came out, and I was on the Pro show, I think, and Pro was ridiculing this for how stupid it was. And I said, no, wait a minute. Tell me what it looked like. Tell me what the effect is. And he's describing it. And I said, that sounds like cortosis to me.
Yeah,
I
I
think
pushed
they
back on
actually,
that too. When he
and, and it was. And it's like,
Mm,
I've got to give them props. It's like, now the difference though is that I don't think cortosis, as described in its origin, is something that you could smelt or work. It's described as actually more of a fibrous material that's brittle and breaks. And so I don't think that it would be easy to try and make a helmet out of it.
helmet and
But
an armband. Well, so you know what's funny though? They never specifically state whether the planet that Kamir takes her to is Octo. I think it was.
I suppose it could be.
It looked just like it. I remember when I did my review of that episode here on the channel. I think I compared like a side by side shot of the island that Luke is on in The Last Jedi and the island that Kamir is on, and it looks like the same exact island.
I mean, I'm of two minds about it. The one part of me says, I hope not. I would rather that it's a dark side mirror to Octo. But the other is that I don't accept Octo as existing in the first place, so why do I care?
Exactly. Well, so and at one point there's like these little like chittering creatures, and they look like baby versions of the green milk boob alien.
Oh, I thought maybe you were going to reference Porgs.
No,
Maybe
not porgs.
I don't remember it well enough to even bother to look.
They really thought porgs were going to be like the thing, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They
They were like,
merchandised the
wow,
heck out of it.
when's the last time anyone's mentioned a porg?
Probably not any time without derision. I think that's about the only thing they're good for. I do like the fact that Chewie ate one. That was kind of funny.
That was funny when he like barbecued it and the other porgs were like looking at him. I was like, that was like horrifying.
It's a little dark, but that
Yeah.
kind of goes to my kind of humor. So it's like, I'll give you props for that one. That's funny.
The wizard saying yes, porgs were supposed to be the big sellers. Yeah, they were. But they were not. All right, so let's get into what we're actually talking about here, though. Leslye Headland, Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, Leslye Headland. Sorry, let me use her full given name. Claims that Yoda helped cover up murder in the Acolyte. This is from geeksandgamers.com, written by me. A new controversy is brewing after Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, Leslye Headland, suggested that Yoda would have played a far more morally questionable role had the Acolyte continued, and it's only adding fuel to the fire surrounding the canceled Disney Plus series. In a recent interview highlighted by the Holofiles, the Acolyte creator was asked about the show's closing moments, which features Vernestra Rouault, aka Jedi Master Leslye Headland's wife, moving to conceal Kamir's crimes. Headland didn't hedge when discussing where that storyline might have gone. For sure, yeah, Headland said when asked whether Yoda would have helped with the cover-up. Don't come at me in the comments, because he does it in the Clone Wars, so I don't want to hear about it. Like, no, you're going to hear about it, because it's not the same thing. It's kind of common to immediately raises eyebrows among longtime Star Wars fans, especially those already frustrated with how the Jedi have been portrayed in recent years. Now, obviously, at this point, many viewers feel like they've seen this playbook before. Across several modern Star Wars projects, Disney Star Wars projects, the Jedi Order has increasingly been depicted less as flawed guardians of peace and more as an institution riddled with moral compromise. There's certainly room in the franchise for complexity. George Lucas himself portrayed the prequel-era Jedi as rigid and imperfect. But what Headland is describing goes a step further, because having Yoda assist in burying a murder investigation would mark a significant tonal shift for one of the saga's most morally grounded characters. For many fans, that crosses the line from thoughtful nuance into outright character erosion. Now, here's the argument, Lauren. Lay this out and then we can discuss it. Her primary defense is that Yoda has made controversial decisions before, particularly during the Clone Wars. That much is true. The Jedi Council made its share of questionable calls during the fall of the Republic. But critics argue there's a meaningful difference between strategic wartime decisions and actively helping to conceal a killing to protect the Order's reputation during a time of peace. The former reflects institutional blind spots, and the latter, many would say, veers into something far darker. The distinction matters because Star Wars has traditionally operated within a mythic moral framework. The Jedi weren't meant to be perfect, but they were positioned as aspirational figures. When that clarity starts to blur too far, the tone of the entire saga begins to shift. Now, Lauren, you helped me figure out what she's actually referring to here, because for the life of me, you and I both could not remember this. And so you did some research and you found You found this. The most likely source is the Star Wars Clone Wars Season 6, specifically the Lost Missions arc involving the secret origin of the clone army. In episodes like The Lost One, the Jedi Council, including Yoda, discovers troubling information. The Jedi Master Sifo-Dyas ordered the clone army before his death, and Count Dooku, operating as Tyrannus, played a covert role in the project's creation. Faced with that revelation that the Republic's entire war effort rests on a deeply compromised foundation, Yoda and the Council make a controversial decision rather than keep the publicly expose the full truth to the Senate or the galaxy at large. They chose to keep key details contained, fearing political chaos and the potential collapse of the Republic's war footing. Now, this is the precedent Headland is invoking, but this is where we draw a sharp distinction, because I maintain that the Season 6 decision occurs in the middle of an existential galactic war. The Jedi are confronting a massive strategic crisis involving the Republic's military infrastructure, not quietly burying a localized massacre to protect the Order's image during peacetime. So in other words, Yoda's actions in the Clone Wars can reasonably be interpreted as wartime triage, not, Lorn, personal complicity in covering up a murder investigation. What say you, my friend?
You and I disagree on this point, and I'm going to take some flack for this, I think. But personally, I think covering up the origin of the clone army is worse than covering up a murder.
Yeah,
because
go ahead and explain yours, and I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Okay, if you know that clone army was tied to the person leading the separatists, and that it was concealed in its origin, and you're using it because it is expedient and useful because the Jedi have been so thinned in their ranks, you've got to look at that entire army as suspect. And the other part that I have argued with you in the past is that I feel that prequel era Yoda and original trilogy Yoda are much different people. And I think you can pin Anakin's fall almost directly to Yoda's pride and hubris. Because, in my opinion, in episode 3, when Obi-Wan is away on his mission, Anakin can't go to him for advice. And instead, he goes to Yoda, and he tells him about these visions that he's having about losing his wife. And rather than offering any kind of empathy, Yoda tells him what he needs to do is train himself to be okay with losing everything that he loves. Anakin was going to Yoda to try and stop himself from turning to the dark side. He was looking for any excuse not to join Palpatine. Mm-hmm. And instead, Yoda pretty much just pitched him right at him. And the irony for me is that Yoda in episode 2 is sort of lecturing Obi-Wan and Mace about how so many Jedi have succumbed to the sin of pride, and yet Yoda is the most prideful of them. He has continued to conceal from the Senate. They have lost their ability to peer into the veil of the future. Their foresight is clouded. They know all of these things. They know that their vision is clouded by the Sith Lords. They know this army came from a renegade Jedi who is leading the Separatists. This is incompetence of a level that is staggering.
So I'm gonna push back on that, because we are how many years into the war at this point? We're nearing the end. This war has been raging for years at this point. They uncover this information, and what are they supposed to do? Get rid of their army? At this point, they know what's going on. They know there's something up. They don't know what specifically. They don't know why. But also, what are they going to do? Bring it to the Senate? The Senate that they know Darth Sidious has some role in?
But why do they know that? Why do they know that?
They know it because Dooku told them in episode 2.
Because Dooku told them in episode 2. Exactly. Before, right at the start of the Clone Wars.
Of that. When Obi-Wan says at the end of Attack of the Clones, well, he said, do you think it could be true that Sidious is controlling the Senate? Yoda's like, yeah, no, he's lying. But I think by that point, they start to think to themselves, it's very possible that this is true.
Which is why, to my mind, at that point, they ought to be questioning everything. It's like, at this point, how many dangling carrots do you need in front of you to see? It's like, maybe we've got something wrong here.
Mm-hmm. But are you going to go public with, hey, by the way, guys, Count Dooku bought the clone army. like in the middle of the
No.
war. Like, I think that is so much different than it is a time of peace. And we're going to cover up the fact that a guy with a red lightsaber slaughtered 10 Jedi Masters by himself on a planet. And then I'm going to act shocked in 100 years when Qui-Gon Jinn comes to me and is like, I think the Sith might be around.
What I'm saying is that would you publicly admit that? No, you'd have a closed session of the Senate. But the thing is, it's
They don't
like
trust the Senate.
they don't trust the Senate, and neither should they, because the Senate himself has said, I am the Senate.
Yeah.
Later, of course. But my point is, it should raise some eyebrows 3 years into the Clone Wars that we're winning, and yet the Chancellor keeps calling additional war powers to himself and extending his term. We've already been warned that the Chancellor is secretly the Sith Lord controlling the Senate. Yoda was even eyeing Palpatine suspiciously right at the very beginning of Attack of the Clones.
They hate him in Attack of the Clones. Kevin and Paulo and I used to talk about this all the time in Attack of the Clones when he's just like, perhaps an old friend like Master Kenobi. You just see Mace and Yoda look at each other like,
And so
they are already so sick of this guy.
So all of these things taken together to me at that point tell me, especially by the time of episode 3, he's continuing to push after they have killed the head of the Separatists. Now he's driving forward to try and eliminate the General, Grievous, which honestly in a military campaign you would do. But by this point, they ought to at least be trying to call for talks. It's like, let's find out who's going to become the new leader of the Separatists and see if we can open a dialogue there.
But
Especially
I also understand the concept of not wanting to open that dialogue, because in the Revenge of the Sith novelization, they bring this up repeatedly. And he's just like, to open a dialogue with them is to give legitimacy to their rebellion. And I will not do that. They are not a rogue nation. They are a part of this republic, and I will not negotiate with them as if they were another nation.
Here's my counterpoint. The Separatists are right.
Of course the Separatists are right.
Well, okay then.
So, I'm just saying, I understand the reasoning that he gives and why people accept it. He's just like, the only way to win this war is complete and unconditional surrender. There will be no terms.
Which, again, I understand from a military perspective why you would do that. But the unconscionable thing to me is that the Jedi have had ample warning that we should not trust this clone army. We should not trust the Chancellor. They're right to want to have Anakin spy on him. All of that is correct. And yet it's flashing red lights right in front of them, and they continue to deny it. What should have been obvious to them, and the reason why it wasn't obvious, is that they had deluded themselves. They had stopped listening to the Force. It wasn't just Palpatine's influence. It was that their connection to the Force had become so tenuous, so fragile, because they had lost their humanity. They had become a tool of the Senate. They were not listening to the will of the Force. They were listening to the will of the Senate. And that is what led to the Jedi's downfall.
The moment that the Jedi fully lose is, I think, the moment where Ki-Adi-Mundi and Mace Windu say, well, in order to do this, we're going to have to take control of the Senate. And I'm like, you're doing exactly what he said you're going to do.
Yep. Yeah.
And even if it's for a good cause, you can take something that is for the greater good and warp it in the mind of a young man who is already distrustful to be something else. And that's the thing I love about, like, because to me, in the way it's done in the movie is kind of hack, where like he sees that, like, where he's like, you're the Sith Lord, and then he immediately switches into Darth Sidious voice. He's like, I know what's been troubling you. Like in the novel, he's just like, yes, I am. I'm also your friend. And they have that moment where Matthew Stover, gosh, I like hero worship Matthew Stover as a writer, but Matthew Stover literally says like, Anakin has this moment where he realizes, what if the face of the Sith is this face, this kindly face that has for his entire life been nothing but supportive of him? And, you know, that's the wool that Palpatine pulls over his eyes. And it's, you know, from my point of view, the Jedi are evil. It was not an original concept that you created, Leslye, even though you said that it was. But yeah, I think there's a big difference between what we're talking about, a wartime situation that is a literal impossible situation. You're 3 years into a war. You can't stop using your army. You can't trust the Senate. So what do you do with this information? You sit on it until you figure out what it means in a sense. And
See, I just attribute this to Yoda's pride, and I think that's why I'm actually sympathetic to Leslie's take in this case, because Yoda had come to think of the Jedi Council as infallible, even though he admits in Episode 2 that their ability to touch the Force is compromised. They Mace is actually the right one in this case, where he says, "I think it's time to inform the Senate," and Yoda's like, "Nope, we're not going to do that." That's like,
well, at that point, it's because he knows the Sith is out there, or the Sith are
yes,
out
but he's also been told who the Sith is. It's like
there. Well, he
this
never
is the brilliance of
specifically says the Darth Sidious is Chancellor Palpatine. He just says that the Senate is under the control of the Dark Lord of the Sith, and to them that means that Sidious, because in Episode 3 they pontificate a lot that Sidious could be hiding among the Red Guard. Sidious could be Masamida. Like, they don't know.
Baloney. I submit that all of the glances that Yoda gives to Palpatine are enough to say he knows who it is.
I think Kevin and I have always said that when Anakin tells him that Chancellor Palpatine is a Sith Lord, Mace's expression is restrained jubilation. Because he finally has an excuse to go put a boot up this guy's ass.
And ironically, Mace is wrong as well, because he decides unilaterally that we have to kill him. We can't put him on trial. And that it's like, it again feeds into Anakin's fear. And so this is actually something that I think the prequels took a lot of flack, because they say that the dialogue is hammy, that the romance between Anakin and Padme is ridiculous and all that stuff. And it's like, he's a teenage boy, and in Episode 3, barely a man. And all of those things are exactly what would appeal to somebody at that age, at that time, and playing into all of his fears. That is exactly how you would manipulate somebody like Anakin, and it worked. You can understand Anakin's fall, and that's what makes it tragic.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, I brought this up to you last night, and it's kind of an aside here, but you have been watching this post Return of the Jedi series, this AI series of Luke, Ahsoka, and Huyang, right?
Yep.
I think it's really good. I was like, if this were a Disney Plus series, I would watch it.
It's okay. I've got some there's some technical things that I want to see them improve. We talked about that a little bit. Some of the compositing work looks a little janky to me. The voices really need some work.
Well, yes, but I mean, the concept of it and the writing of it, I think, are pretty on point. I wish they had like the Sedan style fight scenes, because they had a lightsaber fight between Luke and Darth Revan in this last episode, and they couldn't really show it because of how limited the. But I like how they brought in the pirates from the Mandalorian and from Skeleton Crew. I thought that was really interesting. I like the idea of Luke learning from Huyang. I was like, oh, I like that.
Well, I also liked that. I think it was the episode prior where you've got the door on the Ghost stuck, and Luke can't get to the guns, and they're trying to fight off the pirates. And so it's obviously a scene taken from The Empire Strikes Back, where he's raising his hand to lift the X-Wing, but they've just put him in the Return of the Jedi outfit. It's the same thing, but he closes his eyes and he takes control of the guns from outside the chamber and fights off the pirates. And it's like, this is his first advanced use of the Force.
Yeah.
And I liked that. That's the kind of thing that they're filling in those gaps, and it's kind of cool.
Well, and he's also like, Huyang's teaching him lightsaber forms and stuff like that, like things he never learned. I mean, we don't know. Yoda may have given him some lightsaber instruction. We just never saw it. But how long is he with Yoda on Dagobah?
That's always been under debate. People argue about that. I feel like it's not an excessive amount of time. I've always figured it's about 2 weeks, but I think it depends on your interpretation. Everybody sort of has a different feeling. But to me, the transit of the Millennium Falcon, because the hyperdrive is out to Bespin, I don't think it can take much more than 2 weeks, and so you've got to have a similar time frame for his time on Dagobah, and so that's kind of how I factor it that way. To me, it's about 2 weeks.
Okay, that makes sense to me. But yeah, I mean, look, I know you think what Leslye has done here is okay because you love the Acolyte and you love Leslye Headland and you're just a huge fan of Disney Star Wars. But I maintain, Lorn, that this is garbage.
Well, I get your point, but
But you
I'm
love
not
it.
I'm not accepting the Acolyte, but I do accept the interpretation of Yoda's character in the prequel era, and to
But then
me,
also, like, why is Yoda so surprised? Why would he be so dismissive of the reports of Darth Maul in Episode 1? I always thought
oh,
that Vernestra would have gone to him and been like, "Yeah, it was Master Squid Games, and he went nuts and he killed all these people," and Yoda would have been like, "Oh, okay, well that's really like wow." But now if she's
yeah,
actually telling him like, "No, like it was this dude, it was my former apprentice. He has a red lightsaber. He killed all these people, and now." This girl is with him. Like Yoda should be like, oh no, like there's stuff like that. A dark Jedi killing a platoon of Jedi Knights and Jedi Masters by himself is cause for them to be like, whoa.
Like I told you this morning, it's easy for Leslye Headland to say what she would have done in season 2 now because she can rewrite it endlessly. And I agree with you that I think that our interpretation was that she was going to cover it up from Yoda exactly what happened. Yoda wouldn't have the specifics.
Yeah.
Again, I don't accept the Acolyte. I do accept the interpretation of Yoda's character, though, because I believe that the prequel era Yoda and the original trilogy era Yoda are much different people. Yoda is still not even completely reformed in the original trilogy because he, like Obi-Wan, believes that what Luke has to do is confront Vader, which is what everybody has been trying. There are some prequel era aspects that even then Yoda can't give up, such as too old to begin the training he is, There's still a little bit of pride there.
I
But
also think I think that there's a little bit I think they're too old to begin the training because at the end of the day, Yoda always knew that when one of these kids came to him, they were going to be older than a normal Jedi Padawan. I think when he hung out with him and purposely wheedled him and saw him get in anger, he was like, nope, we're not doing this again.
I agree, but I still think that Yoda is a much more humbled Yoda in the original trilogy than the prequel era. I don't think that prequel era Yoda ever would have done the crazy little imp act that he does at the beginning because he's testing Luke. And I agree with you that
He
when he
fails that
sees Luke,
test gloriously.
yep, yes, he did.
And
But
that's where I think the hesitation comes from. I really think it comes from like almost like a PTSD kind of thing where he's just like, I looked the other way on this once and everyone died. This dude is snapping at me in anger. He's yelling at me. He's impatient. He's arrogant. And these are all things that his father had. He even says he goes, he's a lot of anger, just like his father. And then Obi-Wan has to be like, nah, like it's different, man. Like, come on.
Mike is telling me to define confront. It's like there's not a puzzle here. Yoda and Obi-Wan believed that Luke had to kill Vader.
Yeah.
There's no question about that.
That's why they
That's why they were wrong. That's why they were wrong, is that was not the way, because that would just lead to Luke then turning to the dark side himself. It would have made things even worse.
I think that they purposely hide the fact that Vader is his father from him, not to like save his feelings or anything like that. I think they hide it because they're like, if he knows it's his father, he's not gonna kill him, and he's got to kill him.
Yep,
Because I think that comes from them believing that Anakin is beyond redemption.
Well, I think, remember, when Luke takes off to Cloud City to rescue his friends, they are convinced this is going to be the thing that is awful. Luke comes back humbled to Yoda, which is why Yoda then tells him that already know you that what you need. He understands that it's like when he's going to confront Vader the second time, it's not going to be with that limited knowledge. It's going to be with an understanding of what his own limitations are, and he senses that Luke is much more calm now. He's become a settled person. Now he's balanced, where before he wasn't. And that's what allows Luke to surrender himself to Vader on Endor and try to plead with him, come away with me. And Vader tells him, it's too late for me. And Luke knows otherwise. He can feel that pull. And that's why he doesn't then escape.
So when Vader takes Luke to the Emperor, do you think he's almost kind of hoping that maybe the two of them will kill the Emperor together in this scenario? Because Vader knows the rule of two.
That's what Vader tells himself. I think that's how he's justifying all of this. He's saying, well, over time, but I don't think internally. Anakin's saying, sure you are. Sure you are. And that whole time in the throne room, it's like the one thing I think that almost makes everything fall apart is when Vader says, sister.
Mhm.
So you have a twin sister. Your failure is now complete. If you will not,
Obi-Wan's failure is complete.
right. And so that's the moment where Luke snaps, and Vader does not see that coming.
Oh, he gets
That
overwhelmed by it.
that's a can of whoop ass that it's like he's normally the one that's opening that can, and it's a shock to him because he's never seen it before. And then
Mhm.
when he loses his hand and Luke looks at it and goes, oh, what did I almost do?
Yeah.
After that, Vader, he knows. I can't let my son do this. I can. And when Luke is pleading with him, and you see Vader looking back and forth, there's that moment, that tension. Take out the no. Just leave it silent because
Yeah.
that's better. When Vader lurches forward and picks up the Emperor, electricity just shoots up your spine, and
Yeah.
that's what makes the scene.
Did you ever watch that video that I sent you, the Chosen One?
Yes, absolutely.
Because I wanted to actually play a brief second of it, the moment where he actually does, like, because it encapsulates it so perfectly well.
Yep.
Let me share this tab. I love, because the thing that they add in, the it's Skywalker, shouldn't work, but it does. Oh, hold on.
Your true self, you've only forgotten. I know there is good in you. Search your feelings, Father.
Anakin,
The Emperor hasn't driven it from you fully.
where is your pain?
It is too late for me, son.
Mine at last.
Never.
I was too late to save you.
You failed, Your Highness.
I can help. I can fix anything.
I am a Jedi,
But I promise
so be it.
I won't fail again.
Like my father before me.
Jedi. I'm sorry.
Anakin,
I'm sorry,
I'm
Anakin.
glad to have met you, Anakin. Stop!
Anakin,
Stop now! Come back!
My brother, Anakin!
let go.
I love you!
It's Skywalker!
He can help you. He was meant to help you.
I mean, come on. Goosebumps. I just got goosebumps watching that. It is so well done.
Yeah.
It is one of, it's probably my favorite moment in cinematic history when he picks the Emperor up.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons that I pitched the radio dramas to you, is that I feel that the throne room scene in the radio drama is even better than the film. And
Yeah,
it's
when
because
you did show me that one, and that was really good.
it's like Brock Peters plays Vader in the radio drama, and it's a much more operatic performance. He's very broad. It's not James Earl Jones. But in this scene, it works. And it's when Vader picks up the Emperor yells, "Stop, Vader! I am your master." And Vader yells, "Darth Vader's master, but not Anakin Skywalker's." And then he pitches him down, and it's
Yeah. Makes you wonder, do you think that line was in, do you think like James Earl Jones ever recorded that line? Do you think it was in the original screenplay?
I don't think so. I think that they wanted to play it mostly silent, but in the radio drama, that one, it's like it's electrifying. So
Yeah, no, I had chills when we listened to it on the way to the airport that one day. But yeah, we all right, we did not. So you wanted to bring this up. We have to end like in a minute because of the
right. It's just because I'm gonna briefly try and explain this. Apparently, I wasn't aware of this. I think it was Star Wars Insider magazine way back in the day, before Disney acquired Star Wars had a design an alien contest, and one of them that won was this one. It was a character called Nakata del Gormo, that is this kind of reptilian creature that they created the backstory for, where this was the one of the trainers, the master of Yoda. And apparently in the new EU, that has been semi-recanonized, as he was mentioned in one of the novels. And some people have noticed this other image. That is, can you bring it
Oh,
up?
this one?
I can, yeah, I can click it.
Yeah.
This is a shot from The Mandalorian and Grogu. And this is a character that looks similar, except for the number of eyes. It is another reptilian character that is asking Grogu, "Are you scared? Where you will be." And so some people are wondering if this is Nakata del Gormo canonized in
That's
the new canon.
interesting.
And if so, maybe it's Yoda's master that's going to train Grogu and not Luke. Now, this may be a tenuous connection. It may not be anything at all, but I thought it was interesting and thought I'd bring it up.
I like that a lot. I like that theory. Butter Biscuit says, not going to lie, got a little teary-eyed from that. My hat's off to you guys. Since you started this show, I've been caring about Star Wars again. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Because, you know, there is still stuff to care about. So I'm going to give you guys a link to that video. It's called Anakin Skywalker, The Chosen One Remastered. It's by Hero Fan Productions, and it's incredible. You guys have to see it. So I just put the link in the chat right there. Yeah, definitely check it out. It's long. I think it's like 20 minutes long, but it's like really, really good. Basically tells the whole story of Anakin Skywalker through all of the cartoons and the movies and TV and everything. So yeah, check it out. Guys, Lorn and Apollo tonight at 11 o'clock. Lorn, what do you got going on?
Tonight we're doing a 1980s recast of the MCU, so that should be fun.
Okay, sounds good.
You gotta give me your list.
Yes. But yeah, we will.
Actually, I guess not, because you're not on tonight. But the others have to give me their list.
I'm not able to make it. Yeah, I'm not able to make it tonight. I'll be there Friday, but I can't make it tonight. But we sending you guys over to the pro show right now. The intro is already in progress. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you very much, Lorn. From all of us here at the M4 Empire, I thank you for your attention, and we'll catch you in the next one.